If you opened ChatGPT this week and it felt a little faster, you weren't imagining it. OpenAI quietly changed the default model. Most people didn't notice, and that's the part that can quietly cost you. Here's what happened. As of June 2026, GPT-5.5 Instant is now the default model in ChatGPT. That means when you open a new chat and start typing, this is the model answering you, unless you manually pick something else. And for the vast majority of users, that switch happened silently. No big banner, no setup wizard. The model under the hood just changed. Now, instant is the important word here. GPT 5.5 comes in more than one flavor. Instant is the fast, lower latency version, built to answer most everyday questions quickly. There's also a slower mode, usually labeled thinking, that's built for hard reasoning, math, multi-step logic, complex code, same family, two very different behaviors, and by default you're getting the fast one. And to be clear, GPT 5.5 itself is OpenAI's flagship. It's their strongest model for complex reasoning and coding. So this isn't a downgrade. You're on a more capable model than before. The thing that changed is which gear it's in. Instant runs that flagship in a fast, responsive gear. Thinking runs the same flagship in a slower, more deliberate gear that actually pauses to reason before it answers, knowing that one distinction is most of the battle. Here's the problem most people miss. A faster default is genuinely good for everyday use. Quick questions, rewrites, summaries, brainstorming. Instant handles all of that and gives it back to you in seconds. But if you throw a hard problem at it, a tricky calculation, a multi-step plan, a chunk of code with edge cases, the fast mode can give you a confident answer that's wrong. Not because the model is bad, but because you used the wrong mode for the job and never realized you had a choice. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which mode to use, when to use it, and how to switch. So you're never stuck on the wrong one without knowing it. Let's start with what actually changed. Before this update, you had to think about which model you were picking. Now, OpenAI made the decision for you and set Instant as the default. The upside, speed for free. The thing to watch, that default applies to everything, including the hard stuff that really should be running in thinking mode. The model didn't get worse. The default just got faster, and faster isn't always smarter. Now here's exactly how to take back control. Step 1. Open the model selector. In ChatGPT, look at the top of your screen near the model name or next to the message box, depending on your device. There's a small drop-down showing which model is active. Tap it. That drop-down is the single most useful button in the whole app, and most people never touch it. Step 2. Identify instant versus thinking. When you open that selector, you'll see the active model. That's GPT 5.5 Instant by default. And you'll see an option for a thinking or reasoning mode. Instant is your fast lane. Thinking is your slow, careful lane. The names might shift slightly over time, but the pattern stays the same. One is built for speed, one is built for depth. Learn to spot which is which, and you've already solved the problem. Step 3. Pick per task, not per habit. This is the part most people get wrong. They pick one mode and leave it forever. Don't. Match the mode to the job. Quick email, summary, casual question, first draft. Stay on Instant. Math you actually need to be right. Code you're going to ship. A decision with multiple moving parts. Switch to thinking. It takes 2 seconds, and it's the difference between an answer you can trust and an answer you have to double-check. Here's a simple test I use before I hit send. Ask yourself, if this answer is subtly wrong, will I catch it? For a rewritten email, yes, you'll read it and notice. For a financial calculation or a block of code, often no. A wrong number or a broken edge case slips right past you and you act on it. Anytime the answer is something you take at face value and can't easily verify, that's your signal to switch to thinking. Low stakes and easy to check, stay on Instant. High stakes or hard to verify, slow it down. Step 4. Know the free versus plus difference. If you're on the free plan, you get Instant as your everyday default, and access to the heavier thinking mode is more limited. You may hit caps faster or get fewer reasoning runs. If you're on Plus, you get more generous access to thinking mode and higher limits overall, so you can escalate to the careful model more often without running into a wall. The exact limits move around, so the habit to build is simple. Check what your plan gives you, and don't assume the slow mode is always one tap away if you're on free. Quick note on cost, because people ask. The numbers you see thrown around, like $5 per million tokens of input and 30 per million of output, for GPT 5.5. Those are API prices for developers building apps on top of the model. If you're using the ChatGPT app, you're paying a flat monthly subscription, not per token. So for everyday use inside ChatGPT, this model swap didn't change your bill at all. Let me show you why the mode actually matters with a real example. Say I give both modes the same prompt. I have a budget of $4,200. I want to split it across 3 ad campaigns where the second gets twice the first and the third gets 500 more than the second. How much goes to each? On Instant, you'll often get a fast answer, and it might even look right at a glance. But because it didn't slow down to actually work the steps, the numbers can quietly not add up. Switch the same prompt to thinking mode, and it works through the algebra step by step, checks that the 3 parts sum back to 4,200, and gives you numbers you can actually act on. Same prompt, same model family, completely different reliability, just because of which mode answered. That's the whole lesson in one example. Instant isn't worse, it's faster, and speed is exactly what you want for most of your day. You just don't want it making decisions that need real reasoning. And notice what made the difference there. It wasn't a smarter model, it was the same flagship in a different gear. Thinking mode didn't know more facts than Instant. It just took the time to lay the problem out, work each step, and check its own answer before handing it back. That's the entire value of reasoning mode in one sentence. It slows down and shows its work, so the mistakes that slip past a fast answer get caught. For anything where being roughly right isn't good enough, that pause is worth the extra few seconds every single time. One more thing, because it trips people up. You don't have to start a new chat to switch modes. If Instant gives you an answer and something feels off, open that selector, flip to thinking, and ask it to recheck. It carries the context forward and reasons through it properly. So even if you forget to pick the right mode up front, you're never locked in. So here's the one advanced tip that ties it all together. And it's the habit I'd build if I were you. Default to Instant. Escalate to thinking. Treat Instant as your home base. Keep it on for 90% of what you do, because most of what you do is quick. But the moment a task involves real math, code you're going to run, or a multi-step plan where a wrong step ruins the whole thing, flip to thinking before you hit send, not after you've already trusted a bad answer. Default fast, escalate when it counts. That single rule will save you from the most common mistake people are about to make with this update. And that's really the takeaway. OpenAI changed the default to a faster model, and that's a good thing for everyday use. But only if you know the slower, smarter mode is sitting right there one tap away. Most people will never open that selector. Now, you will. If this helped you get more out of ChatGPT, hit subscribe. I post practical AI tutorials every Monday and Thursday. No hype, just what actually works. And tell me in the comments, are you sticking with Instant, or are you switching to thinking mode for your hard tasks? I read every comment, and I'll see you in the next one.